Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. How are you guys? Teams are just about to drop, and I tell you what, these early round team reveals, they just get you a little nervous, don't they? Look, we need everything to just go well. We've got a few discussion points. I took some notes the other day in the live. These are just a few of the names that are on the chopping block, and there's a few people wanting to really smash that trade button. And just look, we'll take a look at the teams when they drop in 3 or 4 minutes, but please don't piss away your trades so cheaply this early on. I'm seeing people trading Horn Francis, Lockie Neal, Caleb Sarong. Goodness me, what are we doing? I'm seeing people just jump ship on guys that we were in love with 2 weeks ago from a practice match. So let me just take you to a place many months away. It's called August, and you've only got 4 trades left, and your team's looking like trash. You can't finish it off. You need a trade desperately. You need an upgrade. This is where you need to be just as mindful of the value of trades, even though they're not as valuable as they once were, because we've got 40 now, which don't get me started on that. But you still got to be mindful, because I've done it myself. You know, you trade a bit hard, you trade a bit aggressive early, and you look back and you go, oh, that was a wasted trade. What I wouldn't do to have that back at this stage of the year. So just be mindful. Yeah, we've got heaps of trades. Yeah, we love to hit that trade boost and go bang, but personally, my golden rule would be give guys 2 weeks. You know, it was only a couple of weeks ago that Sam De Koning didn't do much against Essendon at all. We didn't like him in the ruck. And Elijah Tsatas looked fantastic, had 30. Okay, of course, we're going to value a real game more than a practice game, but De Koning comes out, does fantastically. Tsatas, not so well. And then we totally jumped ship, you know. I still think Riley Sanders, yes, he was a bit quieter. Okay, maybe the role wasn't outstandingly what we wanted. Still had 14 centre bounce attendance. I'm giving him 1 more week. And this isn't me expecting them to bounce back. I'll back them in. But it's more like, come on, we researched all that time. I feel as if we got to give them more than 1 week. And I want to just show you a couple of examples. We talked about this on the live. And I think it's worth looking through some history sometimes, because things can change. Look at Nick Martin, an average of 105 last year. What a pick he was. But if we traded him away early days, he scored 63 in round 1, then 93. We would have been hitting the trade button. That's Harry Perryman right there. Or even another one would be, I'll show you Hayden Young, but look, from a premium point of view, let's not forget Rory Laird, 2023, 50 in that first week. Shocking game. Averages 117. Hayden Young, last year, you know, ends up being a great selection, got rolling in the midfield eventually, but, you know, he started with, he had that 137. That's 2023. I thought that didn't look quite right. 2024 starts with a 70 and a 62, then goes on a tear, 132, 119, 114. So I'm not sitting here saying that Perryman will bounce back and do that. And I'm not saying Sanders is going to come out and average 90 for the rest of the year, but it's worth a look. You know, it's worth a second look, isn't it? You know, let's not cast these guys aside on 1 week, you know, and let's not be too reactive after one game, you know. Okay, Xavier Lindsay looked fantastic. Great. Let's give him 1 more week. Let's just see. You know, let's back in Tsatas to see if he can respond and other guys like that. So the one area that I would say to counteract that is if you're feeling like your team is in all sorts and you probably want to make 5 changes, then yeah, clearly we can't make 5 changes next week. So if you're like, Shorty, I'm pretty confident I'm going to have to make at least 4 moves. All right, make a couple of changes now. And I could understand Harry Perryman, because not only has he not exactly lit the world on fire so far, but he's got De Goey coming back, and then he's got the bye in another week. So I could definitely see why you would trade Perryman. I'm not going to talk you out of that. I am still backing in Perryman to be much better than he was against Port Adelaide. I think we'll see more scores around the 90s than in the 60s. The issue might be, does he have a ceiling where he can go beyond 110 to make up for scores like the other day? But let's have a look at the teams, which should be in here. I do like a bit of a live reaction to the teams. Obviously, you know, we see Kerno come back, and those we saw drop on the Wednesday. Oh boy, they're in. Okay, they're in. Please be good to me. I'm a little worried about Flynn, but I just don't want any surprises here. So look, Degoe comes back, but I think it's really interesting the way they played Sidebottom and Ned Long. Very interesting. I wonder if Perryman can just get above someone like Long in the centre bounce attendance. Of course, Ridley goes. Tommy Edwards gets the opportunity. Could be a handy cash cow for us at some stage. Sardale Hooley still not quite... Wow. God, that pisses me off. That just pisses me off so much, Finlayson being out. Like, are you for real, bro? Like, I know he probably wasn't the best defensively, but... that's flattened me right out. I'm so pissed off about that. I thought they wanted his beautiful left boot and intercepting ability. How many other pricks could you drop aside from him, for fuck's sake? Shorty's just losing the plot a little bit there. And Hasty. What does Ross Lyon see? I mean, he plays a great first half and you sub him off. I don't know, bro. I'm starting to remember why I hate SuperCoach sometimes. What else have we got? Flynn still named number 1 ruck. Yay. Windsor? He must be injured, is he? Why aren't these things saying why they're out? I want to know if they're dropped or if they're injured, bro. Oh, Shorty's getting a little mad now. Brody might interest a few. So, yeah, look. Yeah, not happy about that. Rightio. Well, Shorty's got some thinking to do, I guess, don't I? Okay, well, we'll deal with that later. I'll deal with Finlayson. You know, you think you take a decent risk and a point of difference, but yeah, you just get shat on. All good. So some of these guys, Perryman I've already spoken about. De Koning, a lot of people discussing would you go De Koning or Freijah. I'd probably give the slight edge to De Koning. Just like the way that he rucked, and obviously I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect him to be that proficient in the ruck, but there is that little bit in me that says, oh, Willie sometimes played back line depending on the matchups. If they're against a Gorn or a Cherry, will Stanley come in and help me out? Like, it makes me a little nervous, but I would prefer De Koning over Freijah, who, mind you, looked pretty nice. Sort of playing a bit everywhere. Halfback, wing, just rotating all over the place. But yeah, look, these are the guys that I'm saying give a second chance. Look, Tsatas, give him a chance. Lindsay, yeah, he looked great, but I'd almost give him another week just to have a look at him. I do think Levi Ashcroft, we've got to find a way to get in. I know a lot of people faded Bailey Smith. Find a way to get him in. But my general philosophy is don't try and get rid of too many guys like that are keepers. Like a Horn Francis, I saw some people trading out Oliver because he only scored 93 just to find a way to get Bailey Smith in. Like, yes, Bailey Smith and Rankin, yeah, they are a musts, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater and sacrifice a premium just to get another premium in. That's probably being too reactive. So find a way to make it work. And look, at Smith's price, you should be able to find a way without selling a premium. But I, as a general rule, would give guys a second chance. I might get a bit of an idea from some of the guys. So being, this gives a bit of an idea. Yeah, look, Day, I think he'll, be, if his worst is a 77, his best gives us 150. Hold on him. Perryman, yeah, like I said, I can understand. De Koning, I can understand coming in. I guess it's just a philosophy thing. Some people are going to be a bit more happy to trade. I personally just, want to see a bit more from some of these guys just to give us a bigger sample size. So, obviously things change up with Finlayson going out for me. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do around that, but I'll need a bit of thinking time on that one. But, in terms of the vice captaincy, I'm going to go Horn Francis. I think he can go big, and the C stays on Sheasel. You can use someone like Callahan as that floating zero if you do want to do that. Some people are not sure on that one. Just remember too, bye week, so it is best 18. So another reason to just, be mindful that you don't have to rush. But yeah, I think someone like Lawler, worth getting in. Nevitt, worth getting in. They certainly impressed me. Pal Pepper, I'd trade. Sin, I'd trade. A few guys that were spoken about. A lot of people talking about Will Ashcroft, trade him. No, goodness me. Like, I could sort of see why you'd trade Sanders or Garcia because they're unproven. But Ashcroft, he's a star on the rise. I'm so sure about that. So give him a second week. Okay, if he scores 70 again, then yeah, let's hit the trade button. But we got to give these blokes an extra go. Like, that's just my opinion anyway. Like, there's no reason that. What's to say that Perryman scores 110 this week and DeConing scores 64? Like, we're just flipped again. Let's not chase the scores. Let's have a think about what we actually feel is a good selection, weigh up what's important to your team, and weigh up how many trades you might need before the prices change next week. Of course, there's a few like Perryman whose prices will change after this week, but a break even of 77, damage ain't going to be too much. Look, if he scores a 70, we're not losing too much. So, I'm happy to wait and see on some of these guys and have a bit of a play with it. Obviously, Hasty being dropped, Finlayson being dropped. I might make a few of these correctional trades already, so we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm just going to hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. Feel free to chuck a comment in if some of the guys that you are thinking about I haven't mentioned. And I'll try and get to them in the comments. I'll aim for Friday night, but it might end up being Saturday, so apologies if it's a bit slow. But yeah, Wednesday night lives are always the best chance to get a question answered. I am going to have to go away and have a bit of play with this team after a couple of unexpected outs. But stay tuned. I'll have plenty of content coming up. We might go live on TikTok over the weekend. We'll just see. But have a good night. Cheers.